The country of Colombia caused Donald Trump to freak out over the weekend like a petulant 2-year-old. No offense to petulant 2-year-olds, nor is it that hard to get Donald Trump to freak out like one. So here's what went down. Colombia told Donald Trump, you cannot land military planes in Colombia when you are deporting Colombians in America to Colombia. You need to show Colombians dignity and respect. We're a sovereign nation. If you want to send Colombians via commercial flights, as had been done before, not in handcuffs, but done with at least a modicum of dignity and respect, Colombia would be open to that. Colombia stopped 2 American military planes from coming into Colombia. So what does Donald Trump do in response? Donald Trump then declares economic warfare on Colombia, and he basically says he's going to impose a 25% tariff immediately and will raise that to a 50% tariff. He also says that he will have a visa ban, kicking out any Colombian leaders and Colombian nationals and Colombian politicians and diplomats and business people from the United States. Essentially what you would do when you're in an actual war with a country. And then Donald Trump also talked about other sanctions against bank accounts of Colombians. And so Trump escalated this pretty much to the highest form of economic warfare right before you get to like an actual war. So then Colombia responded. Its president basically said, look, all we said was that we don't want military planes, so we will send a presidential jet. Our presidential plane will go and pick up the nationals, and we will deal with it ourselves. To which Donald Trump viewed as a win, and him being a tough guy. So then Donald Trump posted an image of himself in AI form, looking like a mafia person, like looking like a gangster. And then it says FAFO, F around and find out. Folks, the only people who are effing around and finding out is the American people. This doesn't make you look like a tough guy. And as all of these MAGA people like Matt Gaetz were saying, don't F with us on this dude, referring to the Colombian president, Gustavo Petro. You will be taking your criminals back the easy way or the hard way. This is not the fight with America you want. We want friendly relations with our neighbors, but friends don't leave their own shit in each other's homes, referring to the migrants as trash, as shit, as subhuman is the language that Gaetz and other MAGAs were using. I think it should be clear that we all agree that criminals, terrorists should indeed be deported. I don't think that's who Donald Trump is actually focused on as well. He's doing worksite raids and raids of schools and others. We've learned, for example, that in Brazil, Donald Trump put people on commercial flights to be sent to Brazil, but there the people were treated who were sent to Brazil horrifically. And Brazil's president Lula found out that Brazilians were being handcuffed, treated like criminals, and President Lula of Brazil was saying, these aren't criminals. I'm not sure why you're treating these individuals this way. We're launching a national investigation into the way these individuals were sent back on commercial flights into Brazil, and Brazil actually intercepted the Brazilians on their trip back. There was some issue with the flight as well. It was supposed to stop somewhere else, and Brazilians are absolutely livid right now. This also follows President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico telling Donald Trump, you will not be allowed to deport Mexicans using military aircraft into Mexico. If you want to engage in bilateral discussions, I'm open to having discussions, but we will not be okay. Mexico's sovereignty is too important with you in America taking unilateral action, sending military planes filled with Mexicans and not respecting the dignity of this country or the human dignity of the people that you are deporting. Who's being benefited by all of this? It's not the United States of America. These deportation flights cost about $852,000 for Trump to use these military planes and that doesn't even include all of the propaganda videos that Donald Trump is making. Donald Trump has sent United States military, armed American military, to the southern border. He's got these, very expensive helicopters flying all around, which really aren't doing a lot. But he's taking video of them, so it looks like there's a war taking place. And he's got these massive military airplanes who are taking like 80 people on these massive planes. Now, it would normally cost about $8,000 an hour to transport individuals, how it used to be done. So you figure 3 to 4 hour flight, $25,000, $30,000. It's now costing about $850,000. And the Trump administration doesn't care about the prices. They care about the optics, looking like an authoritarian, looking all powerful. That's what they want people to see. So again, who's benefiting from this all? The biggest beneficiary is China. First off, China is trying to expand the BRICS bloc. The BRICS bloc is, the lead countries are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Brazil being one of them. In the Trump administration one, when Donald Trump tariffed China, China responded by stopping its Chinese companies from accepting a lot of American farm products like soybeans and other products. And then China enhanced its relationship with Brazil. American farmers were getting screwed as a result because they had all of these surplus crops that they now couldn't sell anywhere because they would export it to China, but China wasn't accepting it. So then the government had to come in and give massive handouts, massive subsidies, many of which still exist today. And so that's the type of thing we're going to see happen. China strengthening its relationship with Brazil, China strengthening its relationship with Colombia, China strengthening its relationship with Panama. A lot of the changes that we saw in diplomatic ties of Central American and Latin American and African countries away from Taiwan towards Beijing, the acceleration of that happened a lot during the first Trump administration. So Donald Trump sending Secretary of State Marco Rubio to Panama as Rubio's first diplomatic visit, although I wouldn't call it diplomatic, after Donald Trump has repeatedly talked about conquering Panama, taking it back, even though Panama's never actually belonged to the United States. There was a lease over the Panama Canal. Panama is a sovereign nation. But just think, if you're Panama, America's threatening to conquer you and take you over. What has Panama done in advance of this? And we've seen this with a lot of Latin American countries. They've enhanced their relationships with China. In 2017, they established formal diplomatic ties. 2018, Xi Jinping went to Panama, big diplomatic visit. Colombia, big diplomatic visit in the past year and a half, where Xi Jinping was in Colombia, for example, and Colombia's enhanced its relationship. And in November, Colombia announced right around after the election that Colombia was accelerating its process to become a full member as part of the BRICS bloc. Let me just show you this, for example. This was the meeting between Xi Jinping and the leader of Colombia. So you can see for yourself the difference here. While Americans under Trump and people like Gates and others are saying, don't F with us, dude, don't F with us, China, the CCP, although it's propagandizing things, they're out there saying, we respect the sovereignty of these nations. We're here as part of a way to build together. Can we invest? We respect the cultural heritage. They're using the language. They're playing the game of diplomacy, while Donald Trump is taking a wrecking ball to America's leadership in the world. Let me show you this clip right here of Xi Jinping and the President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro. Play this clip.
Let's talk about NAD+. It's in every living cell in your body, and it helps keep you young by repairing damage, detoxifying, and giving you energy. But between age 20 and 50, your NAD+ levels are cut in half. No wonder we start feeling older, more tired, and less vibrant. But here's the good news. Qualia NAD+ makes it easy to boost your NAD+ levels by 74%. It's a simple supplement that's vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, and packed with ingredients to help you feel at your peak longer into life. Qualia NAD+ contains the most powerful NAD+ precursors like niacin, niacinamide, and niagen. These ingredients are clinically tested to boost your NAD+ levels, and Qualia NAD+ has many other holistic ingredients that support all major aspects of NAD+ production in your body. Plus, it's doctor formulated, so you know it's the real deal. I've been using Qualia NAD+ since they sent it to me, and the difference is huge. I actually feel energized, awake, and ready to take on the day. I had no idea how much my low NAD+ was dragging me down. To boost your NAD+ levels by up to 74%, go to qualialife.com/Jordy for up to 50% off and use code Jordy at checkout. That's JORDY at checkout for an additional 15% off. That's qualialife.com/Jordy, JORDI, for 15% off your purchase. Thanks to Qualia for sponsoring today's episode.
And in terms of kind of the cultural and heritage celebrations that China is focused on in places like Colombia, Brazil, Panama, you could go down the list. Peru, we're seeing this all over. I'll just show you an example. Like in Brazil, they have these parades with Chinese people and Brazilians celebrating each other and their relationship. You've got the Chinese flags, the Brazilian flags waving side by side because they're trying to build versus destroy. At least that's the language being communicated, is playing a diplomatic game at a high level while Trump is posting AI memes of himself. Here, play this clip. And then I'll give you this example right here as well. You've got Marco Rubio making posts like this. This is what he posted over the weekend. He said, just hearing the Taliban is holding more American hostages than has been reported. If this is true, we will have to immediately place a very big bounty on their top leaders, maybe even bigger than the one we had on bin Laden. Look, there should be retaliation on the Taliban. No one likes the Taliban here in the United States. I should take that back. Donald Trump and Mike Pompeo seem to like the Taliban. They invited the Taliban to show up at Camp David on the anniversary of September 11th during the first Trump administration, and they freed the 5,000 Taliban soldiers who ended up taking over all of Afghanistan. And then Donald Trump did not withdraw as he said he was going to, and President Biden then had to withdraw from Afghanistan after the Taliban took over as a result of Donald Trump releasing the Taliban terrorist prisoners. But like what Rubio's saying here, this again is their social media diplomacy. I mean, he's saying, if this is true, we will have to immediately place a very big bounty. You're the Secretary of State, dude. Are you waiting for some Twitter user named Jack159733462 to inform you whether this is true or not? Does Daddy Elon Musk need to explain to you if it's true or not? What do you mean if this is true? You're the Secretary of State. Use your resources. And also, as the Secretary of State, are you going to try to get us back into a war with Afghanistan that Biden got us out of? Is that the way y'all are handling these things right here? So, look, I think it's important that we reflect on this awful, awful diplomacy or lack thereof by the Trump administration. But ultimately, this is, Trump posting memes, FAFO, look what we did to Colombia. I mean, Colombia just said don't send military jets. And you're going to screw we the people. I mean, like, Colombia provides a lot of coffee and a lot of other goods, too. So let's just say you tariff Colombia. Okay, yes, it'll hurt them. It's also going to make coffee prices here go up significantly because a tariff is a tax on the importer. So all of the coffee shops that got their coffee beans from Colombia, they're going to be the ones who have to pay more for it. And then they're going to raise their prices on their menu. That's what Americans would end up seeing. So this is the ordeal with Colombia, and this is what's going on. Trump's just creating a greater sense of solidarity amongst Latin nations. We're seeing that, and their further push to be allied with China. Tell me what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 4 million.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.